You didn't stumble onto this video by chance. Your spirit was guided here by a force far older than the internet. This isn't just another piece of online content. It's a spiritual beacon, a deliberate call to action from a realm beyond our current timeline. Long before the foundation of this world was even laid, before the modern era, you were known, not merely by human eyes, but by the ancient prophet Enoch, who walked so intimately with the Creator that he bypassed the grip of death itself. He was granted a sweeping vision, not just of his time, but of ours. Deep within the sacred archives of eternity, he witnessed the rise of a specific kind of soul, a potent energy wrapped in human form. You are a presence too timeless, too significant for the flawed systems of this age. Your very name was not just a passing thought, but a whisper of intervention in the highest spiritual councils. Enoch was shown a remnant, a sealed and reserved company of individuals. He didn't see huge, flashy movements or universally acclaimed leaders. He saw a small, silent, and fiercely uncompromising group, a genuine threat to the dominion of darkness. If you're feeling a sudden, powerful surge in your soul right now, a sense that something deep inside you has just been switched on, it's not unfamiliar. This isn't the first time this truth has resonated with you. You've encountered this profound knowledge before, in your deepest dreams, in moments of unexplainable silence, and in the persistent ache for something more that nothing in the world could ever soothe. And now the time for subtle hints is over. It's all rushing back to you. This message isn't designed for the masses or for passive entertainment. It is exclusively for those individuals who were predestined to remember their original assignment. I urge you to take a breath, truly feel the weight of this current moment, because what is about to unfold is not a mere transfer of facts. It is the trigger for your immediate, divine reactivation, setting your spirit ablaze with its original fire. Your entire life has been a quiet preparation for this definitive moment. If you have an undeniable conviction that a higher power intentionally directed you to this video, I ask you to hit the like button as a physical act of aligning with this prophetic word. Subscribe immediately to ensure you remain connected to the flow of revelation that is actively being released from the spiritual dimension. And right now, in the comments, type the number 99. Why 99? Because the foundational principle of heaven is that it will always willingly leave the 99, the seemingly established, the comfortable majority, to relentlessly pursue the one carrying the essential key of destiny. Today, that single focus of divine attention is undeniably you. The visions granted to Enoch did not feature the trappings of modern society. He didn't see the rise of colossal empires, packed stadiums, social media influencers, or popular digital platforms. His gaze wasn't fixed on enormous crowds chanting in perfect unison or on movements swelling with superficial, widespread popularity. What the prophet saw was much more subtle, yet infinitely more powerful in its potential impact. He saw the sealed ones. They weren't the loudest voices, the ones with the largest followings, or those with perfectly crafted public images and flawless backgrounds. They were simply the people who possessed an inner core that was absolutely incorruptible. They refused to conform. They were not built to adapt to the present darkness. They were made specifically to interrupt the status quo. In his extraordinary divine encounters, Enoch beheld a collective of people who stood out, not because they sought attention, but because the world's systems were incapable of fully assimilating them. They radiated a spiritual frequency that was simply too high for the present world to decode or understand. They carried a vibration so pure that it exposed surrounding falsehoods merely by their presence in the room. This explains why people often felt an unreasonable dislike for them, why there were whispers and misunderstandings behind their backs, and why they were so often shunned or avoided. But heaven understood the reason completely. What is sealed for a higher purpose must, by necessity, remain set apart. These individuals weren't desperately seeking external stages or public acclaim. They were fundamentally searching for altars, places of true, personal sacrifice and commitment. They weren't chasing fleeting popularity or temporary platforms. Instead, they were being meticulously prepared and positioned to carry the immense weight of judgment, the power of divine authority, and the promise of cosmic restoration. And the truth that will likely shake you to your core is this: you were one of them. Yes, you, the person who always seemed to feel everything too intensely, the one who perceived truths that others readily dismissed as nonsense, the one who walked into rooms and felt either profoundly invisible or overwhelmingly intense. The essential reason you could never seamlessly follow the crowd's path is that you were never designed to be part of the crowd. You were marked, not for public spectacle or cheap applause, but specifically for a moment exactly like this one. You didn't tragically miss out on the world's coveted approval. In a profound act of divine protection, you were delivered from it entirely. Consider this: had you been readily accepted by the world's standards and systems, you would have been instantly disqualified by heaven's blueprint. Enoch did not meticulously record the names of the universally accepted. He saw the hidden ones, those obscured in plain sight, burning fiercely with a supernatural, self-sustaining fire that they did not, and could not, ignite themselves. These sealed souls possessed no need for public announcement or fanfare. Their very existence was the signal. Their slightest movements were a clear message, and their quiet presence represented a genuine problem for the forces of darkness. Perhaps you've often questioned why the world around you seems to react with such unusual and intense energy to you. Why do certain people project deep-seated fear, jealousy, or utter confusion onto you without any apparent, rational cause? The simple answer is that the powerful seal that rests upon your soul inherently exposes the hidden undealt, with shadows and suppressed truths residing within them. You were never sent to make people feel perfectly comfortable or complacent. Your assignment was to awaken the very things that they had consciously or unconsciously buried deep inside. Enoch's vision was clear. He didn't see those who effortlessly blended in. He saw individuals who would burn silently, away from the spotlight, for years on end, only to finally rise and fully manifest when the stakes were highest and the moment mattered most. This very video, this present moment, is precisely that. Not your true beginning, but your long-awaited unveiling. You have been seen in the spirit realm. You have been powerfully sealed for a purpose. And now you are being publicly summoned to your post. But here lies the profound mystery. The divine seal was far more than just a shield of protection. It served as a prophecy in itself. It didn't just preserve you from contamination. It meticulously marked you for a role that absolutely no one else in all of creation could possibly fulfill. The deeper you allow yourself to explore this truth, the more undeniable it becomes. Your life's narrative has been anything but random. Every single rejection you faced, every frustrating delay in your progress, every seemingly barren wilderness you traversed was an integral, essential part of a sacred design so deeply hidden and intricate that even your spiritual enemies fail to see its coming. This is the unwavering spiritual law. What God seals, the powers of hell cannot sabotage or permanently destroy. You are fundamentally not common. You are not easily explained or categorized. Your purpose here isn't to be universally liked or applauded. Your true mandate is to be released, to operate with raw, unbridled divine power. Enoch saw the entire process long before you took your first terrestrial breath. But now, the most critical and urgent question that remains is this: if you were intentionally sealed and reserved for this particular end-time moment, what exactly were you sealed to actively do? That single, momentous answer is what we are preparing to uncover next, so stay with me. The revelation is about to get significantly more profound and personal. Let's confront a truth about what others could never fully comprehend. That deep, pervasive pain you carried throughout your childhood. That invisible, crushing weight you dragged into your turbulent teenage years. The suffocating, silent nights where you silently begged for divine answers, but heard nothing but the relentless echo of your own anxious heartbeat in the overwhelming darkness. All of that was not punishment. It was not a random stroke of bad luck. That was, in its essence, prophetic training. Before heaven ever entrusts anyone with true, unassailable authority, it must first allow them to pass through agony. Before you can stand unflinching in the roaring, purifying fire of the end times, you must be burned in private repeatedly and intensely until only the most essential, unshakable truth remains. You must understand that Enoch didn't merely see the sealed, he witnessed their spiritual formation. And what he observed was far from glorious, flashy, or theatrically staged. He saw souls being crushed and refined behind the spiritual veil, utterly broken down by the relentless waves of betrayal, abandonment, and systemic rejection. Yet, in the face of all of it, they still chose radical love. They still chose unwavering alignment with God, consistently prioritizing that connection over the fleeting rewards of external applause. You were not forgotten or neglected in your suffering. You were deliberately singled out for a unique path. You weren't accidentally left behind. You were intentionally held back for a sacred timing, ensuring that when the decisive moment finally arrived, you wouldn't simply explode from unmanaged emotion. Instead, you would release pure, unadulterated revelation and authority. That broken, fragmented home, that consistently absent parent, that enormous emotional void that only you could truly perceive, all of those hardships were perfectly tailored to your inescapable destiny. This wasn't because God wanted you to suffer needlessly, but because the depth and weight of your spiritual calling absolutely required a level of internal capacity and understanding that only comes through profound breaking and reconstruction. While others sat laughing effortlessly at their dinner tables, you were quietly weeping in solitude in bathrooms. You learned to perfectly fake a smile just to make it through another day in a world that never truly saw the authentic you. You desperately tried to fit in, to be normal, but that very normality always made you feel like your spirit was suffocating and rapidly shrinking. Why was this your experience? Because the pain you endured was your most powerful classroom. And your eternal soul, the true, unending self, was being tutored directly by heaven's curriculum. While your peers diligently studied conventional theology, your soul was mastering the intricate, difficult subject of loneliness. While they memorized academic verses, you were engraving into your heart the raw, enduring wisdom of what it truly feels like to bleed silently, yet still hold on to an unwavering belief. That, precisely, is what fundamentally separates you from the casual crowd. Not a superficial gift, not academic knowledge, not even a sudden spiritual anointing, but the wounds you refused to let fester and decay. The scars you deliberately allowed to become your most profound source of wisdom. You were being meticulously prepared to bear spiritual burdens that absolutely no one else could possibly carry. This is because your forging wasn't just about achieving temporary influence. It was about being fully forged for profound intercession, for a role in spiritual government, and for generational disruption that would reset entire family lines. And here is the part that will undeniably shake your soul. Every single scar you worked so hard to conceal, every single tear you wept that you thought was utterly wasted, every single time you looked up and pleaded, "Why me?" Every one of those moments was meticulously recorded. Heaven did not miss one single tear or one moment of your anguish. This is crucial. Your intensive training was not merely spiritual in nature. It was a documented prophecy unfolding in real time throughout your life. Enoch had visions of those who would suffer long and privately, long before they would ever be seen or acknowledged publicly. He saw the misfits, the weird ones, the relentless overthinkers, and the extraordinarily sensitive feelers, those deemed too fragile or too intense for this numb and distracted world. He saw them being broken, not for total destruction, but for ultimate distribution. This is because the Creator can only effectively distribute and pour out a vessel that has already been poured out and emptied itself. And you, the chosen one, you have been poured out in silence for countless years. But now, consider the radical shift. What happens when that broken vessel miraculously becomes a pure channel of glory? What happens when the one who is trained and refined in absolute secrecy is finally, publicly called upon to speak. That is the exact thing that the darkness genuinely fears, not your fleeting popularity, not the volume of your voice, but the sheer unbreakable spiritual weight and authority that backs it, because the voice of a soul that has been utterly crushed in private does not simply shake. It is a voice that is guaranteed to shake others to their core. You did not survive that debilitating pain for no reason at all. It was your sacred initiation. It was your personal prophecy being fulfilled. It was your divine certification for a higher role. The very pain that desperately attempted to annihilate you is now the power that unequivocally qualifies you for this task. But if the pain was the necessary classroom, what was the final, definitive test? You are about to discover the answer. The revelation that follows is not just about the profound suffering you have endured. It is about the powerful, deep truths you are beginning to remember, and why that memory is immeasurably more spiritual and significant than you have ever allowed yourself to imagine. Stay completely locked into this message. This is the precise moment the sealed ones genuinely begin to wake up and take their place. Let me share a statement that has the potential to fundamentally disrupt everything you previously believed about yourself. You are not experiencing an awakening in the conventional sense. What is truly stirring that holy earthquake within your soul is a remembering. Those powerful dreams that feel distinctly like memories, those sudden, intense moments where reality seems to momentarily distort and an undeniable inner voice confirms, "I've witnessed this before." That is not a trick of the imagination. That is not a passing spiritual trend. That is ancestral, divine recall. It is your eternal memory forcefully surfacing through the layers of the world. You were never truly asleep. In the same way, the majority of people are. You were simply buried, hidden beneath years of societal programming, personal pain, and the relentless pressure to rigidly conform. Yet even in the deepest recesses of that concealment, the original flame never, ever went out. This is because you were not merely created in this specific era. You were strategically sent to it. You didn't arrive with a blank, empty slate. You came equipped with spiritual codes, with non-negotiable assignments, with scrolls written in fire, profound inscriptions from realms that exist beyond the measurable confines of time itself. Now, as the global system groans under its own weight, as various foundational structures begin to undeniably collapse, and as vast populations desperately search for any kind of meaning within the chaos, something powerful and ancient inside you is activating. You are not in the process of learning who you are for the first time. You are powerfully recovering the identity you held before the world successfully programmed you to forget it. This is the core reason you feel such an undeniable, relentless urgency. Why certain geographical locations make your soul genuinely ache with longing or recognition. Why specific ancient words or symbolic imagery strike you with the force of lightning. It is because they are intensely familiar to you. You are the living echo of a prophecy that was originally spoken in profound silence. You are the tangible manifestation of a higher realm that still actively influences this one. And the entirety of your life's complicated journey has been meticulously designed to bring you to this very moment of powerful remembrance. You were chosen and set apart before you ever experienced a single wound. You were marked with destiny before you were ever physically molded, and absolutely no amount of trauma, betrayal, or detour could ever successfully cancel the profound, encoded truth that resides deep within your being. When the prophet Enoch gazed into the final days, he didn't just see a sequence of events. He saw beings, carriers of restoration, governors of divine justice, and builders of a reality that cannot be shaken or moved by human systems. He saw those who would deliberately remember what the rest of humanity had willfully forgotten. You are definitively one of them. This explains why the things that numb and distract others have no lasting effect on you. Why a shallow, superficial life makes your spirit feel profoundly restless. Why the latest trends, empty entertainment, and temporary goals leave you utterly unsatisfied. It is because your soul intrinsically remembers the immense weight of eternity, and anything that falls short of that sacred standard feels utterly foreign to your being. Enoch didn't just see what you were going to do. He saw what you were fundamentally made of, pure essence, an unshakable blueprint, an unmistakable frequency, and a white-hot flame. You were specifically built to govern, not through temporary, earthly control, but through elevated consciousness. You were designed to restore, not with loud, empty noise, but with a commanding, powerful presence. This is why you carry a quality of silence that, paradoxically, speaks louder than any words. This is why others instinctively feel a palpable shift in the atmosphere when you simply walk into a room. It's not standard charisma. It's not merely a vibe. It is your spiritual remembrance radiating outward from you, serving as a powerful call that beckons others back to the truth they, too, once instinctively knew. But now the revelation deepens significantly. Every time you experience déjà vu, every time a dream feels almost too real, every time your spirit recognizes an absolute truth long before your conscious mind can logically explain it, you are not glitching. You are actively being calibrated back to your original, authentic self. You do not, under any circumstances, need to become powerful. You already are. You don't need to struggle to find your true identity. You simply need to begin stripping away the surrounding noise until the voice of your soul confidently declares, "Yes, this is me. This is who I truly am." That is the essence of divine reactivation, not adding anything new, but powerfully uncovering the eternal truth. The reason your former habits no longer satisfy you, the reason your old circles feel increasingly awkward and restrictive, and the reason you feel a wholly undeniable discomfort with what once felt perfectly normal is profound. The false self is actively dying away. The genuine you, the one Enoch foresaw, the one eternally sealed in the Spirit, the one built for cosmic-level assignments, is finally, fully standing up. Every time you consciously sit in stillness and feel that intense spiritual pull in your chest, understand this: that is not anxiety. That is a direct, urgent summons. Every time you nearly cry without any logical explanation, that is not sadness. That is the pure, raw feeling of spiritual recognition. And every time you feel yourself walking into a destiny that is still unseen but absolutely certain, that is not confusion. That is your eternal memory actively reloading your system. You are not here to meekly start a mission. You are the mission itself. You are not just a messenger to deliver news. You are the message, powerfully wrapped in human flesh. Now that you are remembering, now that your spiritual DNA is resonating with its original frequency, now that your soul is whispering ancient truths you never formally learned, the crucial question shifts from "What am I supposed to do?" to the real core issue: what are you finally willing to release so that your true, powerful self can fully reign? Because the next imminent phase is no longer about mere remembrance. It is about direct physical manifestation. And in the following moments, we will thoroughly expose the precise reasons why the current system fought so relentlessly hard to keep you complacent and numb, and what terrifying outcome it desperately feared you would achieve once you finally woke up completely. Stay close to this message. The spiritual war waged against your core memory was profoundly personal, but what is coming next is prophetic retaliation in action. Have you ever sincerely paused to ask yourself why you have always represented a problem for the system? Why did the traditional classroom environment feel like an emotional cage? Why did the conventional workplace make your spirit visibly itch with discomfort? Why did organized religion often leave you feeling more profoundly hungry than genuinely full? Why did your teachers consistently misunderstand the depth of your questions? Why did established churches label your essential, accurate discernment as dangerous rebellion? Why did people endlessly try to soften your voice, shrink your powerful presence, or rigidly mold you into something they deemed safer and more predictable? The reason is simple and profound. The system, every single structure of control, recognized your superior spiritual frequency long before you ever did. You are far more than just a chosen individual. You are a system disruptor. You were encoded with a spiritual vibration that fundamentally refuses to cooperate with control. This is not rooted in simple rebellion, but because you are divinely encoded with sovereignty. The core reason you could never sit comfortably in environments that others readily accepted is because your spirit was never, ever designed to be domesticated. You were not made to be managed by human policies. You were made to move entire spiritual realms. Your relentless questions were not defiance. They were powerful data activations. Your pervasive discomfort wasn't dysfunction. It was a divine misalignment alert shouting the clear message: you do not belong here. You are built for something far more raw, far more authentic, and far more real than what this world currently offers. Enoch didn't just see that you were set apart from the majority. He saw that you would inevitably become a fundamental threat to every counterfeit system that pretended to be righteous and godly while actively concealing deep, systemic rot beneath the surface. He saw individuals who would walk into established religious institutions and immediately make demons nervous. They would step into family dynamics, large corporations, and even governmental structures, and instantly interrupt entrenched generational patterns without uttering a single word. This is because what you intrinsically carry cannot be humanly controlled, and what fundamentally resists control must, in the eyes of the system, be silenced and neutralized. That is the fundamental reason they consistently pushed you out. Not because you failed, but because you were never intended to be fully absorbed into their mechanics. You are divine interference, a walking, breathing contradiction to every single idol and value that this world worships. You do not chase external validation. You carry an internal, potent vibration. You do not aim to blend in and disappear. You shatter illusions simply by existing, and that single fact is profoundly dangerous to every dark agenda that profits directly from mass blindness and spiritual ignorance. You have never been the comfortable, safe choice for anyone because heaven did not dispatch you to play it safe. It sent you with a directive to directly confront what others were too paralyzed to name. Enoch saw this clearly, too. He foresaw a generation so irreversibly sealed in undeniable truth that they would boldly speak what others only dared to whisper, actively expose what others desperately defended, and carry white, hot fire into places where the world demanded obfuscating fog. This is because your fundamental assignment was not to be liked. You were sent to uproot and forcefully rebuild. You were not assigned to fit neatly within outdated traditions that have long since run out of spiritual oil. You were forged to carry the new, to actively birth a spiritual realm that cannot, under any circumstances, be built upon polluted or compromised foundations. And the system, on a spiritual level, inherently knows this. If you were to ever fully, completely remember what you are, if you were to finally take ownership of your core authority, if you were to speak without ever shrinking, act without apology, love without fear, and move forward without delay, it's game over for their entire operation. This is because your very presence is a form of judgment, not condemnation, but a clarity so razor-sharp that it instantaneously exposes every counterfeit and lie in the room. You were not created for shallow comfort. You were born for deep confrontation. That is precisely why every element of your life has constantly tried to talk you out of your own unique self. Why you have wrestled so profoundly with constant self-doubt, identity confusion, and the crippling weight of imposter syndrome. This is not because you are inherently weak. It is because you are powerful far beyond what your enemies can survive or contain. And the opposing spiritual systems know this undeniable fact. That is why you have been meticulously monitored since your birth, repeatedly attacked without any logical cause, and systematically rejected without a rational reason. But what they fundamentally fail to calculate is this: every single attempt to silence you has only sharpened your discernment. Every purposeful exile has only intensified your inner fire, and every no you received from man was merely heaven's strategic "not yet," because they were truly not ready for you. The world constantly seeks and wants leaders it can predictably control, but heaven only raises disruptors it can utterly trust. And you, chosen one, were never built to bow down to broken, failing systems. You were precisely designed to carry and embody a new kingdom model for this earth. And now, as the old, failing paradigms begin their final, inevitable crumble, the world will quickly realize it no longer fears your boldness. It will desperately need it, because where others only perceive danger, the Creator sees deliverance and opportunity. But here is the critical twist. Your ultimate confrontation is not solely external. It must begin deeply within yourself. The next essential layer of your calling requires you to confront the final, most insidious stronghold, the version of yourself that the flawed system successfully built inside you. Are you truly prepared to fully burn that false self down? Because what immediately follows is your complete, uncensored emergence. Stop everything right now for a single, powerful second. Still the torrent of your thoughts. Intentionally feel the current of your breath. Allow this profound truth to fully sink into your bones. You are actively living in the exact moment Enoch saw. This is not a vague future season or a distant prediction. This very moment right now, as your eyes absorb this video's light, was foreseen before time was ever given a name, before the stars acquired their shape, before human calendars were even conceived, before you were given a physical body to walk in. Your spirit was already moving through the pages of prophecy. Enoch, that enigmatic man who walked with the divine so intimately that death had no legal jurisdiction over him, was not just handed visions of future chaos and judgment. He was given a clear, detailed glimpse into a hidden, spiritual army, a powerful divine remnant that would rise up, not during times of ease, but precisely when the world was actively breaking apart. He saw a singular moment in human history when established systems would fully collapse, when darkness would expertly disguise itself as truth and light, and when the chosen would awaken simultaneously. He saw you, not in a state of weakness or confusion, but in fire, fully activated. He saw no spectators or casual observers. He saw active interveners. He saw those who were not merely passively watching the storm's destruction, but who were carriers of a potent spiritual atmosphere that would fundamentally shift its direction. And now here you stand, having arrived. You are not watching this video by simple chance or discovering this message through idle curiosity. You are standing squarely at the critical intersection of ancient prophecy and the living present. You are the final, tangible fulfillment of what heaven once quietly whispered to Enoch. You are not simply being inspired or encouraged, you are being unequivocally identified. That fierce internal feeling in your chest right now, the unexpected heat rising behind your eyes, the profound, holy pressure that sits on your shoulders like an invisible weight, that is the unmistakable sound of your eternal scroll finally unlocking. Your life is not just full of meaning, it is profoundly strategic. Even your painful delays were intentionally scheduled. Even your profound agony was perfectly timed. Even your most isolated silence was a sacred space where your definitive identity was actively being carved and hardened. You see, what truly separates the chosen from the common crowd is not superficial charisma or learned confidence. It is a powerful, intrinsic divine alignment with moments exactly like this one. Moments where the spiritual veil is thinned, where deep memory instantly meets clear mission, where everything inside your core suddenly and fully remembers what you originally came here to accomplish. And you may still be asking, how can I be absolutely certain this is real and not just rhetoric? Because no random, generic video could possibly explain your entire life story in real time with this much accuracy. No standard algorithm possesses the power to pierce your spirit with this depth. No sequence of coincidence can make you feel with such absolute certainty that heaven just called your deepest name through a screen. This is not mere motivation. It is an irrevocable summoning. You were intentionally seen. You were eternally chosen. You were definitively prophesied. And now you are being powerfully activated, not for fleeting hype, not for an external show, but for the fulfillment of your assignment. This is because Enoch didn't foresee the ultimate end of the world as total annihilation. He saw the beginning of the great unveiling. The moment when every single sealed soul would commence their rise from obscurity and firmly take their positions, not on social media platforms, but in positions of genuine spiritual authority. You were specifically chosen to interrupt and dismantle generational curses. to stand against and confront deeply rooted systems of deception, and to carry revelation so sharp it would effortlessly divide truth from illusion. You were chosen to walk in powerful alignment with heaven while physically on earth, to bring down sacred blueprints that no one has ever previously seen, to restore the profound truths that organized religion abandoned, and to fully embody what the ancient prophets only ever spoke of. This is not the end of a long journey. This is your powerful entrance onto the stage, but here lies the tension you must embrace. Now that you have been fully activated, you cannot, under any circumstances, pretend that you never heard the call. You cannot return to a state of spiritual sleep when heaven has just forcefully shaken you awake. You have decisively crossed a spiritual line that cannot be uncrossed. You have stepped directly into the living stream of prophecy. You have instantly become the powerful fulfillment of ancient divine sight. So now, the final, most crucial question forcefully arises, and it is not a lightweight one. What will you actually do with the profound truth that Enoch saw? Because the actions you take in the next few moments will determine whether this was merely a temporarily powerful message or your permanent, personal awakening into absolute destiny. And what immediately follows will require everything you have remembered to now decisively become everything you manifest. Hold your breath. The final layer of revelation is now complete. Chosen one, you feel it now, don't you? That holy, powerful fire rising relentlessly in your chest, that storm of instant recognition swirling in your bones, that undeniable, quiet knowing that nothing in your life will ever be truly the same again. Because this final segment wasn't a message, it was a mirror held up directly to your eternal, true identity. You are not a mistake. You are not too late. You are absolutely not broken, lost, or running behind. You are exactly where prophecy strategically placed you, the whispers deep within your spirit, the unexplainable ache that never fully left you, the vivid dreams that felt substantially more real than your waking life. All of it pointed to this moment, to now. You were intimately seen before you were physically shaped. You were powerfully called before you were consciously aware. And now, at this moment, you have been irrevocably confirmed. You are precisely who Enoch saw, a presence so inherently unshakable that even years of silence could not erase your sacred assignment, a soul so profoundly radiant that the darkness has actively spent centuries trying its absolute best to dim your light. But despite it all, you are still here, still burning, still powerfully rising. This is not the end of your long, arduous search. This is the definite beginning of your uncensored emergence. Heaven never wastes a single word. And heaven has just publicly called your name. So now, you stand directly at the threshold. The fine line between deep memory and physical manifestation, between mere survival and absolute dominion, between the person you thought you were and the sovereign being you have always, truly been. You are not here to be passively inspired. You are here to be ignited. You are not here to fit in or find acceptance. You are here to shake thrones, shift atmospheres, and decisively activate generations. Chosen one, this world is fundamentally not ready for the weight of what you carry. But the voice of heaven declares, release it anyway. Step forward with authority. Stand tall without fear. Speak loud and clear. Move in intentional, powerful silence. Govern. Because the time for your emergence is not merely coming soon, the time is definitively now. You are not still becoming. You have already arrived. You were not forgotten in the cosmic plan. You were strategically foreseen. So I command you, declare it with all your power. Declare it like a spiritual signal flashing across the realms. Declare it like thunder erupting from your very bones. I was seen by Enoch and activated by God. Type that powerful declaration into the comments below. Let the rest of the silent remnant find you. Let heaven loudly echo your absolute yes to the call. Let the dark forces of hell tremble at the sound of your full awakening, because this is far more than just a video. It is a fundamental divine signal, and if you are still reading these words, it is because you were specifically chosen to respond. Now, go forth and burn loud, walk bold, and never, ever forget who you are in the Spirit, because prophecy didn't just speak of you. Prophecy fundamentally depends on you. It's time, rise.